I'm Teisha Bader with Shalom TV's news update for Thursday, January the 9th, 2014. 3 mortar shells were fired into Israel this morning. No injury or damage was reported. The shells were fired towards IDF soldiers who were conducting routine activity near the Israeli side of the southern border fence with Gaza. Israel Air Force reportedly retaliated for the mortar fire and hit a Palestinian cell in the Gaza Strip that were preparing to launch further rockets. Palestinian sources reported that the 2-men cell suffered moderate injuries. IDF spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Peter Werner said it is the IDF's obligation to operate to the best of its abilities to prevent such malicious terroristic intentions from terrorizing Israeli civilians and assaulting IDF soldiers. Werner said we will continue in our activities to deter all threats originating from the Gaza Strip.
Particularly,
the Times of Israel reports that U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry will meet with the Arab League this weekend to update them on the status of talks between Israel and the Palestinians. The U.S. State Department released a statement yesterday saying that Kerry will fly to Paris and then to Kuwait from January the 11th to the 15th and update the Arab League on, quote, the ongoing final status negotiations between the Israelis and Palestinians as part of his continued engagement with our Arab League partners on the issue. According to Kerry's previous comments, the Arab League has expressed support for the U.S. efforts in negotiating a framework or outline agreement between the two sides, an agreement which Kerry is reportedly set to present to Israel and the Palestinians in a few weeks.
The possibilities of peace.
Meanwhile, Palestinian newspaper Alalam reported earlier this week, citing Western sources, that the U.S. negotiating team is investigating the possibility of changing language in the 2002 Arab Peace Initiative to include recognition of Israel as a Jewish state should Israel reach a peace deal with the Palestinians. The changed language would also include a stipulation that Israel's Arab citizens would not be affected by recognition of Israel as a Jewish state. According to the Alalam report, the U.S. was looking into the possibility. The Jerusalem Post reports that Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas and Jordan's King Abdullah discussed Secretary of State Kerry's latest peace efforts and proposals yesterday. After meeting with the Jordanian leader in Amman, Abbas said that the two sides agreed they would present a united response to Kerry's ideas. Abbas said Kerry is still presenting ideas and we are discussing them. Israeli media is reporting today that the health of former Prime Minister Ariel Sharon has dramatically deteriorated in the last 24 hours. As we have been reporting to you, Sharon, who has been in a coma for the last 8 years after suffering a stroke, is now suffering from multi-organ failure and a blood infection. Hospital officials at Tel Hashomer's Shiva Medical Center said this afternoon that Sharon is in immediate life-threatening critical condition. The 85-year-old former prime minister remains surrounded by his family and friends. We've been reporting to you over the last few weeks about the academic boycott of Israel from the American Studies Association, or ASA, and the reaction of over 100 colleges and universities here in the U.S. rejecting and condemning that boycott. Well, now an Israeli-based non-governmental organization has threatened to sue the ASA for unlawful discrimination. Shurat Hadin Israel Law Center sent a letter to the ASA today threatening to initiate a lawsuit on behalf of various Israeli academics, arguing that the boycott violates both international, federal, and state laws. The letter was addressed to ASA President-elect Elizabeth Dugan, claiming that the ASA's decision to adopt the BDS, or Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions Movement's academic boycott of Israel on December the 17th of this past year constituted, quote, unlawful racial discrimination on the basis of national origin and race, creed, or religion. Shurat Hadin warned Dugan that it would file suit against the ASA unless it took, quote, immediate steps to cancel the boycott of Israeli institutions and academics. Director of Shurat Hadin, Nitzana Darshan-Leitner, said it is quite simple. The law in the United States prohibits discrimination on the basis of any protected characteristic, faith, ethnicity, sexuality, or disability. Further saying the ASA boycott, which targets Israelis because they are Israelis and Jews, is illegal. We commend those professors and academic institutions who have distanced themselves from this blinkered and hateful boycott. German authorities have brought charges against a former member of a Nazi SS division with 25 counts of murder over allegations that he took part in the largest civilian massacre in Nazi-occupied France. The suspect, who is now 88, is being referred to as Werner C. without his last name due to Germany's privacy laws. He was also charged with hundreds of counts of accessory to murder, all in connection to the massacre which took place in Oradour-sur-Glane in southwestern France on June the 10th of 1944, where a total of 642 men, women, and children were murdered. Werner's lawyer said his client does not deny being present at the village, but maintains he was not involved in any of the killing. Werner has until the end of March to respond to the charges, at which point the court in Cologne will decide whether to go ahead with a trial. Vivian Bercovici has been named as Canada's new ambassador to Israel. Bercovici was appointed yesterday by Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister John Baird. She is a lawyer and a columnist for the Toronto Star, where she has made her strong support for Israel known. She previously studied at Hebrew University and was an adjunct law professor at the University of Toronto. The Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs welcomed the appointment, saying Bercovici would bring a wealth of experience in law and academia to her new position. Center Chairman David Koshitsky said she is well poised to take the Canada-Israel relationship to the next level for the benefit of both countries, particularly in the areas of trade, energy, science, and technology. Taking a look at some entertainment news, British rock icons the Rolling Stones are reportedly in negotiations to perform in Israel this summer. Israeli paper Yediot Aharonot reported that the legendary rockers have been offered an unprecedented amount of money to perform at Tel Aviv's Park Hayarkon. The paper said the band was offered $4.5 million to play in Israel, which is said to be the largest amount ever offered to any artist to play in the country. The concert would likely take place in May or June, and representatives of the Stones were said to be coming to Israel this week to further discuss the possibility. And the Jerusalem Post reports that pop superstar Justin Timberlake will be making his Israeli debut. A news conference has been scheduled for this Sunday morning in Israel, when concert producers will announce the dates. And turning to our Shalom TV programming for tonight, Thursday, January the 9th, a very special program is coming up at 7 tonight. Shalom TV President Mark S. Golub invites you to call him to talk about anything you wish, including your comments about Shalom TV, aspects of the Jewish tradition, or your comments on any issue of Jewish importance. We want to hear from you. You're invited to call in tonight between 7 and 8 at 201-242-1142. Then at 8 tonight, the boundaries of pluralism are discussed by several speakers, including Rabbi Mike Urim, director of Hillel at the University of Pennsylvania, Dr. Mark Kramer, Executive Director of RavSac, the Jewish Community Day School Network, and Rabbi Brad Hirschfeld, President of KLAL, which is the National Jewish Center for Learning and Leadership. It's moderated by Dr. Ora Horn-Prauser, Executive Vice President and Academic Dean of the Academy for Jewish Religion. And then at 9 o'clock on L'Chaim, Mark Golub is joined by author Joshua Safran to discuss his new book, Free Spirit, Growing Up on the Road and Off the Grid. That's all coming up tonight on Shalom TV and ShalomTV.com. And that's Shalom TV's news update for Thursday, January the 9th, 2014. I'm Teisha Bader.